In almost every environment out there, working with files and printers is an everyday occurrence. In this demo, I will cover viewing file directories, copying moving files, and working with printers. So let's get to our demo. So let's say you're looking for a file a user stored on a network drive, yet they don't know where or what they named them, just the type of file that they are. That's not really a problem for PowerShell. We can use some of the commands that we've learned to this point to help us find those. And the command that we're going to use is the get-child item command. So if we take a look at the help for get-child item, we'll see that this gets files and folders that are in a file system drive. So these are designed specifically to find things within the file system. So I'm going to go down here and we'll use our favorite parameter, -examples, to show us different examples of how we can use this. So we can use simply get-child item to see the files and subdirectories in a current directory. We can use the -recurse, as we see in example 2, to go through and see the files and folders in all the current directories and the subdirectories. So that'll really do a deep dive into our area. So we can use things like -include so that we only look for, say, text files. So let's go to what we're going to be taking a look at. So what we need to do is we need to find all of the picture files, these backgrounds for the desktops that got stored on the M drive on our domain controller. So I'm going to use get-child item, go to path M, and do the -recurse. So as you can see what that showed for us, it showed us all of the files that were located on that drive. So all of the directories and everything under each of the directories as well. So that's great, shows us everything that's out there, but we just want to find those picture files so we can get those desktop files and bring them down to our local computer. So I'm going to go in here, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a -include star.png, and that will bring back all of the .png background files that are located. So we see we have files in 2 different directories. This is a great way to allow you to go through and to search through a directory by having it include and find a specific extension for a file. So let's say now we want to take those files that are on that network share and we want to copy them locally. In order to do that, we need to use another commandlet. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to look for a command that includes copy. So when we put in that, we see we've got a number of different things, and look at the top, we've got an alias copy is equal to copy-item. So I'm guessing copy-item is probably the commandlet we're looking for. So I'll put in help for copy-item, and we'll see this allows us to copy an item from one location to another. So we can copy files, we can copy folders. So I think this will work out for us the way we want it to. So I'm going to put in -examples so we can see some of the examples. So we see an example of how to copy a single file from one folder to another. Then we also see the ability to copy one directory from one location to a destination location, and using the -recurse to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy all of the files from the M desktop backgrounds directory, which includes all of our PNG files. And we're going to send that to a destination on our local machine. We're going to call it C backgrounds. And we're going to have it recurse through, so it's going to copy everything. And then I'm going to add this parameter -verbose, because what that does, as you can see, it tells you what actions it's performing as it goes along, instead of simply doing it, and then going to the next prompt line. So if we take a look at if we do a get child item on the C drive, we see that we now have that backgrounds directory. And then if we do a get child item on C backgrounds and recurse, you see now we see that all of the items that were in that folder have been transferred over. So that's how you could copy items. So that's still going to leave the item on that network drive. It simply copies it down. So let's say I now want to move that backgrounds folder to another folder on my C drive. So what I can do is use a command called move-item, and I put in the name of the folder that I want to move. In this case, that's backgrounds. And I put in my destination, which I'm going to call this moved folder. Put the -verbose in there so that it'll tell me what the command's doing as I'm running through. So it's told me that it's performed that move. So I do a get child item on my C drive again. I see that I no longer have a backgrounds folder, but I have a moved. So if I could do a get child item, put in C moved folder, -recurse, we see that it's moved all of those over. Then I can also rename that folder if I want. So let's do a rename -item. So a number of the -item commandlets, moved folder, and I put in a parameter for new name. I'll call that renamed folder. And that will rename that. And if I go and do a get-item, we see that that's renamed the folder. So that's a way that you can work with the different copies and moves and working with the file systems. So one of the things we didn't cover was file permissions. File permissions, I can tell you, is just a big hairy mess with PowerShell. And there really isn't a really easy way for me to show you how with PowerShell commands to get the file permissions that you might be looking for. So if I want to see the file permissions on a folder, the easiest way to do that is using a utility called iCackles, ICACLS.exe, that's built into Windows. This is a tool that's been around for a while, but it actually does a really good job of finding permissions. So if I put iCackles in, it'll show me how to use this utility. So this can be used to not only view permissions, but you can also set it for resetting permissions, a number of different utilities. So we're just kind of interested in really using this to see, what the permissions are on a folder. So we get down to the bottom here. What I can do is I can put in ICACLS.exe and put in the path to what I want to get the permissions on. So the M desktop backgrounds folder. So that brings back for me all of the accounts, users, and groups that are assigned to that. And you see at the end that it has all of the permissions. An F is full permissions, RX is read execute, and if you go back up here, it'll tell you what the specific permissions are for the simple writes, and then if there's complex writes, it's got those as well. So that's just another tool you can use. We're not going to spend any more time on that, but I wanted to just share that with you if you were looking for things related to file permissions. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is working with printers. So if we do a GMC star printer star, that'll bring all of the functions that are available for working with printers. So we have the ability to add printers, printer drivers, printer ports, a lot of different things with printers. So I'm going to see what happens when I just put in get-printer. So if I put in get-printer, that will show me all of the local printers since I didn't specify a computer name. So say a user calls in and they don't have a printer that you need. and you know that DC01, your domain controller, is where all the printers are on. So to find out what printers are available, I can do a get-printer and put in the computer name, put in DC01. That'll show me the printers that are on DC01. For more information, I can do a format list so we see that that has a share name of MKTG-PR-101. So that's what we're going to use in order to add this printer to our computer. So let's take a look at the help for add-printer -examples. And that brings up the examples of how we can add a printer to a local printer, gives us the information that we need to put in. And then the second example of how to add a printer using a connection name using a share path. And that's the one that we're going to use. So we're going to do add printer, put in the connection name, DC01 /MKTG-PR-101. And now if we go back and do a get-printer, we'll see that that printer has been added to our system. So that's how we can use PowerShell to add printers on. So we can also remove printers using PowerShell. So I can do a remove -printer. In this case, we're going to put in the name, put in DC01 /marketing printer 101, and we put quotes around that because there are spaces, so it'll take the whole thing as one value with the parameter. So we click enter, and then if we go and we do get printer again, we see that that's removed our printer. So that's a little bit about working with files and printers using PowerShell. Next, we're going to take a look at working with Active Directory.